Hey,
Hey,
What's up, guys? How's it going?
how are
good.
you?
I'm good. And yourself?
Good. Thank you so much for joining us. We really, truly appreciate that. We appreciate Mr. Simpson putting us on.
Yeah, no problem. It's nice to finally get a chance to meet you both. And Frank's a great guy, and happy to help out and whenever he reaches out anytime.
That's cool.
Thank you.
Okay. So, the
Hey,
format,
how was y'all's weekend?
it was, what you do? I worked all weekend.
Um, Same schoolwork most of the weekend,
Yeah,
sleeping here and there.
yeah,
Yeah, are you on the what? You still on the West Coast?
yeah. I'm still on the West Coast. It's about to, now it gets dark early, so it's starting to be sunset now. Right around about 5:30, it's dark.
Oh, I forgot. It's what time? It's 7 o'clock here.
Yeah, y'all on the East Coast, so yeah, we're actually 3 hours behind you guys.
Oh, okay.
It's 4 o'clock over
Yeah. Okay. So the format. Thank everybody for joining. We appreciate y'all. We appreciate Mr. Watson joining us. The format normally is, your time is precious. We appreciate you.
Yeah.
Isaiah is my son. He's going to introduce himself and us. I'm gonna read a little bit of your bio,
Okay.
what I found out, and then Isaiah and some of the youth on here might want to ask you some questions. Our goal is to introduce them to positive role models,
Sure.
so they can see people like us doing wonderful things.
Sounds good. Let's do it.
All right.
All right, so good afternoon, good evening to people on the East Coast. I'm Isaiah Exum. This is my mom, Letitia Isby, and we're the founders of Positive Role Models. Positive Role Models is a social enterprise under our parent company, LTI Concepts, and our mission is to serve, inspire, and lead. And with that, we hope to build the capacity of future leaders, not only in the district, but eventually around the world. Through LTI Concepts, we host numerous services like family therapy, one-on-one sessions, wellness counseling, and parenting training. We also have a family standard operating agreement where we hope to strengthen our homes at its core, and just remind parents that, they can be great parents. And then through Positive Role Models, we sell merchandise like this hoodie, and 10% of all proceeds are directly invested back into the youth. So a little bit about us.
All right. We got some wellness groups too. We hope to host where we take kids to get it off their chest. So, Mr. Watson, I read you were featuring Forbes from the Fifth Ward of Houston. Did you like
Correct.
Scarface growing up?
Yeah. The original
It's my favorite
Scarface the rapper.
Scarface the rapper.
Oh yes, but definitely, man. They were like Fifth Ward Boys. They were known as the Fifth Ward Boys when we were, well, Ghetto Boys. Sorry, but Fifth Ward Boys also was pretty much how they were recognized. But yeah, the Ghetto Boys was definitely our inspiration growing up in Fifth Ward because hip hop was at that time was predominantly represented by the East Coast. You had all your big rappers, Big Kane, EPMD.
Is that
Is that us?
Of course, then we got
that was
B and Bon B, but before that, all we had really was Ghetto Boys. So definitely, that was a huge inspiration for us growing up.
Okay, so you were born in Fifth Ward, went to college, play ball, went overseas to play ball. You were interested in real estate from a young age.
Correct.
Came back and kind of broke your career when you got your first NBA client, which was a former Houston Rocket. Now you're the owner of LA VIP, luxury, all-inclusive situation for high-end clients. So Isaiah has some questions for you. He'll probably get more into that.
Okay.
So the first question off the top of my head is, can you explain the difference between a landlord and a real estate agent?
Yeah, well, landlord is someone who actually owns real property. They actually have a title or equitable interest in an asset known as real estate. So that could be a commercial building, that could be a residential building, where they either rent directly to the tenants of residents, meaning someone that lives in an apartment building or a single family residence or townhome or apartment complex. or to a commercial business owner, just like how you go into commercial strip centers and you get your nails done, you get your hair done. Those business owners are actually renting from a landlord. So the landlord actually collects rent. If you ever played the game Monopoly, you want to be the landlord. You want to own as much, residential or commercial property as possible. The better the areas, the more income you can earn, meaning the higher the rents. The other one, what was the other question? Sorry, between a landlord and real estate agent. Real estate agent is someone that actually studies, takes an exam to actually be licensed by law and permitted to sell real estate and collect a commission. So someone like myself had to study, take the local state exam. Every state has their own process. Once you complete the exam, you then are allowed, or you receive your license, then you're actually, whether that's residential or commercial or a combination of both, to basically have those individuals work with you or hire you to represent them when going out to purchase and sell real estate.
Okay.
That's what's up. Told you.
Thank you. So the next question that I have is, how do you build a client list / portfolio?
Yeah, so a question you asked, just so I make sure I understood you, you asked, how do you build a client list and a portfolio? Basically, how do you build your database? I think that's something from the very beginning you have to be very intentional about, but the fastest way to do it is through people that know you and trust you. I remember growing up, my mom always talked about doing right by people and just being honest and doing ethical business, or just being an ethical person, because that's how people are going to remember you. And you just never know one day when you got to go back across those bridges. If you spend your whole life burning bridges, it's going to be hard, when you get older, to need someone or have someone trust you in a situation where you need them. And in building a business, you have to have people that trust you first, that are willing to refer people that they know, people that they're related to, or people that they have a relationship with to you, because that's the fastest way of growing your business. When you have to deal with strangers, it takes a lot more time. Strangers kind of have to see, it's kind of like an artist, right? If nobody's listening to their music, you're not interested in them. But if they see, oh, you hear the latest J. Cole, that shit popping, yeah, everybody like, oh, that J. Cole fly, right? So you have to be able to build trust or build some form of authority to where people trust your services and your body of work, and that takes time. So the fastest way to do it is through the relationships that you have with people. The other way is to be strategic and to leverage through brand awareness, and that's where you are focusing on driving attention around what you do best. So an example with how I did it for myself is I created brand awareness around the services that I provide to athletes and entertainers, and letting them know I'm the best at what I do, and here's why. I showed through relationships and through private events and through those individuals speaking, meaning they're giving a testimony, or they're giving a testimony or a reference, basically saying, hey, Rod was great in how he handled me, his services are impeccable, whatever it is. You leverage those testimonials to your advantage to basically now create marketing to put in front of the general public, who doesn't know you, by the way. But if they see someone else who has a high level of reputation or is authority at what they do, example, NBA player says, Rod was great to work with, he's someone that I trust. Now I can take that and use that to leverage and create brand awareness around what I do, because always someone that's in the NBA is going to get the attention more than someone walking around on the street, right? And so you have to figure out how to leverage the body of your work that you've done, and then be able to put that work out in front of the general public in a strategic manner. So that can be through focused, marketing efforts where you're targeting a certain audience. For me, it was athletes. So I took one athlete, then I took a second athlete, then I took a third athlete testimonial around working with Rod, and then I marketing and advertise those testimonials directly to sports and entertainment audience. So automatically those people gravitate and say, oh, wow, Rod's worked with these people. So now proof of concept's been proven. He has done the work. We don't have to question, does he know what he's doing anymore? We know he knows what he's doing. There, anytime I host a private event, or anytime I host any type of event where someone has the opportunity to sign up and join, I capture that information. So now I'm building my database. So in essence, you have to focus on ways to get people's attention. And artists do it today. They do it with all kinds of stuff that allows people to jump on their page or follow them. And then from there, that's a database. Now they got all these followers. So anytime they drop an album, anytime they drop, I'm going to be here at this location, you guys pull up, that's their database, and they can reach those people direct. They don't have to go through a third party anymore. So building your database is critical, but you have to do it with people you trust first. And then from there, show proof of concept where you've worked hard in that space and you service individuals at a high level. And then you take that and you leverage that in marketing to the audience you want to try to connect with and build a deeper relationship and awareness with.
We're kind of getting a taste of that through him having to capture the data of what he's doing with positive role models and kind of creating metrics and who to reach out to. So that's kind of what he took. You got it?
Yeah, I got that.
Okay. I had a quick question. So since you're, you came from the Fifth Ward, probably inner city community, you're a black man. What are some of the principles that you utilized growing up, that you utilized personally and professionally that got you to where you are?
Yeah, that's a good question. Going back to what I shared about what my mom always shared me, treat people the way you want to be treated. Be respectful towards others, regardless of what they look like, where they come from. We're all different, right? We all have different experiences, how we grew up. And just because I may have grown up so-called in the hood doesn't mean that I'm any less or any better than someone else. Or just because someone grew up on the other track than me and they have more opportunities, per se, silver spoon in their mouth, doesn't mean they're better or less. It means I should be taking the opportunity to get to know them and understand who they are and how they think and the way that they interact with people that come from where they come from. So I've learned just to be respectful, be honest with people, and be dependable. When I say I'm going to do something, you don't have to question whether or not Rod's going to do it. If I don't do it, I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to have an exact reason why I wasn't able to do it. You're not going to have to come hunt me down or look for me. If I say I'm going to be here at 5 and I know I'm not going to be able to make it at 5, I'm going to let you know an hour to 30 minutes before or 2 hours before that, hey, can we change the schedule? Can we change the time? I'm not going to just not show up. I'm not that type of person. Those are character flaws, and I don't have character flaws. My mom raised me not to have character flaws. So I think it's really big to think about your actions and the way you interact with people and what you say and standing behind what you say, meaning be a person of your word and be honorable.
That's what's up. You said
believe it or not, that transcends across no matter what. If I'm in the hood, I can go sit and because I still like what they do. I understand that it's about reaching people where they are. If I go in the ballroom, or if I go in the conference room with multimillionaires, I can have a conversation with them and I respect what they do. And there may be things I don't agree with, but it's how you communicate with them and it's how you approach them and how you deal with them. So that has allowed me to function and move in both worlds or anywhere for that matter, no matter where I'm at. No matter I'm around rich people, I'm around poor people, I'm around middle class people, I can fit in.
All right, I think we got lag. Can y'all give us a thumbs up if you could see Rod? Arika, can you let us know? I think we got a
little reception lag there. I can see you guys and hear you fine.
You can see us. Arika, can you see Mr. Watson?
We got a few people said they got some questions in the question box. So let's make sure we get them up.
Let's get the questions. Y'all can see him. Okay. Okay.
I see one. Someone said, has LA housing market been impacted by COVID and the economy?
That's a good question.
Actually, no. I mean, yes and no. Yes, from a standpoint, things did slow down when COVID first hit because, our real estate market was trying to adapt to accommodate to the consumers, right? Buyers and to the sellers, and making sure we're protecting ourselves and we're protecting them from a contractual standpoint. And then also just, from a safety standpoint, what's the protocol? Wearing masks to showings, making sure hand sanitizer is available. They limited open houses, which actually had a profound impact on our business because typically agents, at least listing agents, and even agents that are working to get listings, being able to sit open houses is a big part of our business. And when that was taken away, a lot of agents' businesses have been impacted by it, and they have to figure out, or use the term pivot. They have to figure out more creative ways to get in front of people. Whereas open houses, if you have a listing and it's in a good area or social area and you put out signs, people are pretty much guaranteed to walk through your property at some point throughout that 3 or 4 hours that your home is open or your listing is open. That's not happening anymore. So that did have an impact on our business. However, sales have actually continued to go up and rise. And a part of that is because there's very limited inventory. There are fewer people moving right now during this pandemic. And the people that are selling, they are motivated to sell. So they are pricing their homes right, or new construction properties that are coming to the market are selling quickly because there are fewer opportunities of new construction opportunities out here in LA as opposed to somewhere in the South like Houston, Atlanta, Memphis, Tennessee, Charlotte, etc., where there's more land readily available and builders are building new construction. Out here, we don't have that as much. It's very fewer areas. You have to go further out to get new construction, or you're getting remodeled properties within communities and you're having to pay that premium, and there's a lot of competition for those homes. So our market has definitely continued to see an uptick in pricing. We're seeing fewer homes available to sell, but that creates more demand. When that shifts to where you start seeing more homes available and fewer buyers in the market, then it becomes what's called a buyer's market. But as of right now, it's still good for sellers. And, as agents in this market, we've just had to adapt, and there's changes that have impacted us, but we've had to adapt more or less on how to be, and also in front of sellers and win their trust during this period of time.
That's the same kind of thing in DC. The housing market in DC is really tight. Probably because it's fewer sellers, like you said. My question, he had another question. Yeah. He took a picture of the question in the question box, so we're gonna ask you those. But my question was, was it hard to get black athletes to trust you? And then the second question is, we did a poll with the youth, and we asked them, did they think that they could produce more income via real estate or stocks? And they're not really sure about how profitable real estate could be. So can you speak on that a little bit?
Okay. So what was the first question again? Besides real estate and stocks, what was the first one again? How hard was it to get players to trust me? So sorry about that. It's when you're always dealing with somebody new, it's always a challenge to earn trust. But for me, fortunately, when I started out as an athlete first. I played in college. I went overseas after playing in college, had opportunity to play professionally. So when I would come home during the summers, I took that opportunity to build relationships with a lot of the guys that at that time they were stars, the Steve Francis's, the Moochie Norris, the Cuttino Mobleys, Nick Van Exel's, guys like that were hooping, Akeem Olajuwon, Bernie Maxwell, guys that I had access to because they hooped in Houston every summer or they played for the Rockets. I built relationships with those guys. And it wasn't like I was their best friends, but they knew me, you know what I mean? And they knew I was a stand-up guy. And, when you're in an athlete circle, any type of social circle, you typically know who's kind of real, who you should stay away from, and word travels when certain people do weird shit, and I wasn't one of those types of guys. Like I said, I always, I never chased after them or like, hey, man, I want to be around you because you're a superstar. I just treated them like regular dudes. And, when I got into my profession, they knew that they could come to me when they had questions, and I was going to be honest with them. I wasn't looking at them as a meal ticket or a check. I didn't care about none of that stuff. When I got in this business, it wasn't just about money. It was about helping people that look like us. And so for me, and I was with them, and I didn't have any type of strings attached or, what's in it for me type of motives. So I was able to build trust a lot quicker. And then, like I said, once people gave me the opportunity, those people were willing to basically put out a good words, share positive feedback about their experience. I leveraged that, so therefore it made it easier for me to build trust. But even still to this day, when I meet new athletes that don't know me, what makes it easier is they can go Google me now. So I've built up the brand. I've built up the awareness, right? They can go Google and see Rod's worked with a few different people that I either know or I'm aware of in my profession. So that right away builds awareness and trust. But even times I've ran into different athletes that I've spoke to ever recent that's still kind of a little standoffish because some guys are just that way. Everybody's asking them for stuff. They're trying to get at them. I'm just not one of those dudes. I don't chase these guys because of their status. I'm here to assist them and help them when they have a specific need in my profession and they're asking me for my advice or asking me to work, to help them and they're, utilizing my services. But other than that, I just be myself with them and I'm honest with them, and that helps build trust right off the bat.
That's cool. And then the second question was, we did a poll with the youth on our page, and a lot of them are like, was split almost 50-50. It wasn't quite 50-50, but between what produces generational wealth.
Yeah.
And one of them,
so real estate.
Yeah. So can you speak to, I'm not trying to get in your pockets, but specifically like how profitable can they be, as they look for other ways to generate money, or maybe not want to go the traditional school route?
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Stocks and real estate, in my opinion, are both long-term plays. Stocks over the last few years become this very sexy commodity type thing where, you can buy a stock, it's $1 and, whatever, 2 years later, it's $20, yada, yada, yada. But it's a very volatile investment strategy. Now, there are plays that you can make to kind of hedge and, play it safe and take a little bit more of a slow process to grow your money, but you got to have large sums of money to make money in stock. In real estate, well, let me finish. Well, sorry, before I get to real estate, with stock, you just own a piece of paper. And that stock can be here tomorrow and gone, here today and gone tomorrow. And what do you have? It's gone. Like if you have 5,000 a day and the stock drop and now all you got is $1, that's gone. Real estate, you own that asset. You own the rights to it. You own the mineral rights, what's on the ground and what's infinity above it to beyond the heavens and the stars. You own that. Nobody can take that away from you unless you sell it or you stop paying on it or stop paying the taxes, then it can be foreclosed. But outside of that, you own it. So if the market drops, you still own it. And you can still collect rents on that property even while the market is down. And if the market's up, well, guess what? You can sell that property for a profit, or you can raise the rents, increase your profits that you're getting monthly. So real estate to me has always been a more tangible asset to invest in. It is a long-term play. I myself have put more money in real estate than I have in stocks. I've really dabbled in both, but I've had way more success investing in real estate because I understood the long-term play. And so when you buy a property, example, my first home me and my wife bought was $157,000. That house today is $265,000. And we bought it in 2005. It's what, 2020? So we're talking a 15, 17-year period of time. That house is appreciated over $130,000 from what we bought it. Stocks, you can do really well, but you have to actually really understand what you're doing or have your money invested with a wealth management firm. And for me, keep in mind, I didn't put any money down when I bought that $157,000 property. You can't do that with stocks. So back when they were giving mortgages with zero down payment, I bought up properties. And then those properties I turned around, and some of them were older, and we rehabbed and we put tenants in them, and they all cash flow. So that money then supplemented the mortgage that I was on my home that I currently own, and that meant that instead of me paying $1,000 a month, I went from paying $1,000 only paying $600, if that makes sense. But my other properties were bringing enough positive cash flow that it helped me supplement my mortgage. So real estate is always, to me, in my opinion, the best, and probably, I don't like to use the word safe because there's always risk in investing. If you don't understand what you're doing, you're opening yourself up to a lot of negative things that can happen. But if you understand what you're doing and you're making sound investment strategies, real estate's the long play that you should take 9 times out of 10. That's just my personal experience and what I see in the marketplace, because it can be leveraged in so many ways.
Okay. So I agree with you. We're going to take the questions from the kids. They had questions for you.
Yeah, no problem.
Go ahead, Isaiah.
One of the questions was, were you close to considering another career? What sparked your realization that real estate was your passion?
Yeah, I had interest in a few different careers. One was insurance. I had an offer from Farmers Insurance to be a district manager, and that's basically that Farmers Insurance does auto, life, and home policies. And they offered me a very lucrative position, and I had to go through basically a 24, 36-month training. And at the end of that, I would get placed in an opening opportunity in whatever city or state and city that those opportunities open up. And a district manager, at that time, they were making around $340,000, roughly to $400,000 a year. But I turned it down because I didn't want to be restricted to living somewhere where someone said, you got to go live here. And, basically as a district manager, it's a high stress position where you're over other insurance agents in those counties, in those regions. Then you have to make sure that those agents are hitting their numbers. So that was one career path that I sought out. But when I really did my research, I realized that didn't fit what I wanted. I wanted more freedom. I wanted to have more control over my financial destiny. I also wanted to be able to spend time with my family. And I didn't see that as a viable career path. I wasn't just doing it for the money. I believe that life is way too short. And yes, money's important. Don't get me wrong, but it's not everything. It does make life better, but it's not everything. And so I had to prioritize what was more important, and spending time with my family was. And so I looked for a career path that would afford me the opportunity to make just as much money as that district manager would, if not more, but also have the flexibility and the freedom to control my schedule. And as I did more research, I saw that real estate was the one career path that would allow me to do that, especially on the sales side, not just being an investor, because I started out as an investor, but more so on the sales side. And so as I did more research and learned about the sales side of the business, I became convinced that that was the pathway for me and fit my personality and my strengths more so than just going to be a district manager just for the opportunity to make $400,000 or $500,000 a year.
That's cool. Somebody asked, what's the best place to invest in LA right now?
There's a few places. I would say that the Valley, Encino, Sherman Oaks are probably some really prime areas. West Adams area is a really good area to invest because that area is trending. Inglewood's a good area to invest. Mid-City area is a good area to invest. Koreatown, those are another good areas to invest, especially if you can find things in the multifamily sector. West Hollywood, it's becoming a little oversaturated just because of a lot of the construction and development. But if you can get a good deal in that area, it's still a good area. I still think personally that you can buy a property and turn and flip it, and you can make 30-40% on your money, and it makes sense. But the Valley is definitely another area. Malibu is a really good area to consider because it takes a long time to build and get permits in Malibu. One of my clients, it took them 7 years to actually build the property. I'm sorry, just to get the permits in that area. And the gentleman asked me a question about when that property is going to be ready on this feed. And that property is going to be ready probably like March, April, because there's been some delays with construction. But yeah, Malibu would be another area I think is a good area to purchase in Los Angeles. And coastal, Redondo Beach, Manhattan Beach, those are good areas. Santa Monica, Venice Beach, those are good areas. And Clover City, predominantly West Side, still looks good.
We got a number of questions, and I know my project.
Let's go, bring them.
Oh, okay. I know my project manager gonna say we only told you 30 minutes, so
I want to be time as the questions are. Let's go.
Okay, cool. Appreciate it.
Okay, so one question was, do you have real estate courses or programming for Black youth to join? If not, do you plan on creating in the near future?
Yeah, I do. Hold on. I can drop this in the comment groups, or you guys can DM me and I'll give you access. I have a real estate course called Rookie to Pro. I created this course about 2 years ago. It's free. There's no cost. The course basically gives a layout of what it takes to actually be an authority in your marketplace, to actually be the go-to agents that people seek out. And keep in mind, it does take time to build authority, but I give my blueprint on what I've done to create my brand. I give a layout of what it takes to be successful in this business, the things you should be doing day to day as an agent, and how to actually get things accomplished and done. So again, the course is called Rookie to Pro. I kind of put the sports spin on it because when you first come in the league, you're a rookie until you learn the game. The college game is different than the pro game. In college, typically the elite athletes stand out amongst the rest of the athletes. But when you get to pros, everybody's elite. So it's about being a professional. And if you're professionals typically earn more money than amateurs. So I give a breakdown in this course how to be a professional and what it takes to be a professional, and how I basically accomplished and created my success in this space. So I'm happy to drop the link in here before we get off. And then, of course, anyone can DM me that's on this call or on this live right now, and I will share the link with you when you DM me. Just DM me at RodWatson23, and I'll give you access to the course. It's free.
He did say free, Mason. So that's a beautiful thing. We love to. That's part of what we want to do is introduce the young people that kind of is in our area to people like you who we feel is a positive role model, somebody they should follow. I can't see that. Go ahead, Isaiah.
It says, why are there very few Black investors and developers in this business? There have been no Black investors or agents on MDLLA.
I don't know what that is.
I'm assuming that's the.
Why are there not more Black investors?
Yeah, well, so why are there very few Black investors and developers in the business? Well, you got to think about it like this, right? In 1947, Black agents weren't even allowed to have a real estate license. Wasn't allowed to be realtors. So NAREB had to be created, which was the National Association of Real Estate Brokers, which is for predominantly Black agents or agents of color. We have been locked out of the the economic equitable opportunities in real estate for over 100 years. We've been denied access to wealth. We've been denied the ability to build wealth within our communities. Our communities have been redlined specifically by the United States government and local banks that participated in redlining, which means denying capital to Black people, giving low appraisals on Black people's homes, or redlining areas and stating they will not invest or give loans to people looking to buy real estate within those areas where Black people reside. So over the years, what happened is that, you know, when you keep being told, no, this isn't for you, we focus on other things like sports, like music, right? Things where we, again, the most profitable, and I say this all the time, the most profitable asset isn't gold. It isn't all these other things they talk about. It's Black labor. How the fuck you think this country was built? Why do you think they keep their foot on our neck? These Negroes that run up and down the basketball court, a lot of them are my clients. I love them. But at the end of the day, that's labor. Dunking a basketball is labor. Running up and down a football field, catching a football is labor that other people are profiting trillions of dollars, not billion, trillions of dollars. That's why they can pay one guy $100 million or $200 million a year, because these owners are making trillions of dollars. So at the end of the day, we have to understand the things that we've been locked out of intentionally or denied. We no longer had interest in those things. So we focused our attention on things that were either low-hanging fruit or things that were made to appear to be obtainable to us with someone else's intent to profit from. So we have to educate ourselves, and now we have the information. You can get on the internet and Google anything. There's nothing you can't learn. I taught myself everything you guys see and that you're watching by clicking and getting on the internet or reading a damn book. Nobody showed me how to do any of this. I didn't have some mentor. If I had a Rod Watson, I would have loved to have a Rod Watson. Now, don't get me wrong. I had some people that I reached out to. I picked their brains. They shared some things with me, but I had to figure out how to connect the dots. So the reason why we don't see as many African Americans or Black people involved in real estate is because we have been denied the opportunity to enter these fields and to participate. It's like a race. If someone says the Heisman every time, no, you can't get in this race, eventually what are you going to go do? You're going to go look for other opportunities you can win at. And now we have an opportunity that we can win in real estate. We can win in anything that's going on from a financial standpoint, monetary, it doesn't matter. Like, we have the ability to succeed at whatever we put our minds to. All of your greater inventions that the world is participating, using, or benefit from, 99% of those inventions came from Black ideas, okay? That people are profiting from or have built wealth off of. So, you know, when you talk about a show like $1 Million Listings, guess what? I got something coming that's going to basically give our version of, you know, what it's like to work in this space, work with the athletes that I work with. I'm actually in the process of working on a project. You can go to my page and see that, you know, I've dropped a little jewels there to kind of show like, hey, this is coming. I don't want to give away too much because we aren't complete with the project yet, but something is in the making to put us in a positive light, to show the world that we can succeed and that we can perform at the highest level, and to bring something to the marketplace that no one's ever seen before. So it just has to be someone that's able to create, and just like the first artist that came along in hip hop. Before there was no hip hop, there was rhythm, there was.
Did we get stuck?
I think that's it. Because I think everybody else can still hear.
Playing basketball, football, etc. Well, guess what? Rod Watson's going to be the Michael Jordan of real estate. I'm going to show you that you can build a lifelong career in this space. You can have just as much as these guys that are running up and down the field, catching the football, or running up and down the basketball court, dribbling the basketball. You can make just as much money as they. Now, I'm not saying you can make $200-300 million a year, but what I am saying is that you can have a quality of life just as much as they do. Because at the end of the day, making $5 million and $50 million, the only difference is what you buy. You can still go eat in the same restaurant that a billionaire can. You can still go take trips to the same places that a billionaire can go to. The difference is what you can buy. Buying a plane, cars, jets, all that stuff, that's cool, but that ain't gonna make you happy. It's, can you take care of your family and create something that your kids can benefit from 20, 30 years from now. And that's what I'm working to create from a culture standpoint in this particular field of real estate. So when young people that look like you and I watch and see Rod on the TV screen, it's inspirational. It charges them up to say, you know what, I can do that. And I'm going to go do that. If he can do it, I can do it. And so it just takes more of us doing it and winning in this space. And then you will start to see more Black investors. You will start to see more successful Black real estate agents. You will start to see more athletes transitioning from sports into real estate having success. It just takes time. You have to see more of us doing it And then once we kind of see that, oh, you could just
Right.
like think of basketball. When Michael Jordan was playing in the 80s, there wasn't that many black kids hooping and playing basketball. They didn't have AAUs and all this stuff. That all started because of guys like Michael Jordan, a guy like Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, you know, those guys that look like us, that inspired us to go pick up a basketball and use our athletic God-given ability to our benefit. You can do the same in real estate. And that's all.
Yeah.
They just need to see more of us doing it.
Hey, I look forward to that. I'll oftentimes tell Isaiah, you know, because they're really attracted to the rap culture, that there are, and that's why we appreciate people like yourself exposing them to different avenues, because I always remind him that there's different ways within any type of business, whether you want wholesale, I saw somebody wholesale, whether you want to be a landlord, whether you want to buy and sell or developer.
And here's the thing I'll say, like, I've had different friends that are rap, that are artists, and the one thing I've always had an issue with is if you look at the core of all of these big artists, they don't, a lot of them, 90% of them do not own their masters or their royalties, which means they don't own their intellectual property. The things that they've worked hard to create, somebody else is profiting from. And now you see these artists coming back 20 years later crying and complaining about, I don't know my master's royalties, they should get, no. You signed that away because you didn't understand and you weren't educated or knowledgeable and someone took advantage of you. But at the end of the day, you don't own or control anything. And that's one of the big issues I've always had with hip hop, because they keep you in the dark. We're not, even the OGs, they're not educating these young artists about, and it's starting to happen now, but for a long time, it hadn't been happening. And you had OGs signing artists and screwing them over, the P. Diddy's, and I can go on and on and on, that weren't really giving these guys the game and getting them equity in the business. Instead, they remain being slaves. You sign a contract. Now you got to go work off 3 or 4 records before you even start making money. And if you're lucky, you may break even. So the difference with real estate is that you can create your own LLC. You can read a book just like I did, take a course online, and you can go out and within 5 to 10 years be a millionaire.
That's right.
And actually own something.
That's right.
Artists may get $1 million check, but guess what? Now they're in debt because now they got to go work that $1 million check off and come back and produce 2 times what that check was that was given to them. If they don't, now they're in the hole. It's a trap. Real estate, there is no trap. You create the trap. You create the opportunity to build equity by sales, investments, and being strategic in your approach in this business. And you can build a massive fortune over a decade or more period of time. And that's the beauty of real estate versus us just being pigeonholed and thinking the only way we're going to get out the hood is go pick up a microphone or dribble a basketball or catch a football.
Right. Okay, we have
We got a lot of
questions. Okay, what's the
You don't
next
have to apologize. I'm not in any rush.
Okay.
This is what I do.
So one of the quick questions are you accepting mentees?
Well, I created that course. The answer is yes, but the course is a mandatory that you take that course because my time is limited. And I created that course intentionally for people that look like you and I, because I know that there are going to be a lot of questions. And I don't have a lot of time to where I can give people my time one-on-one on a day-to-day basis. I just don't, because there's so many other things that I'm working on. So I said, okay, how can I provide value? But from a mentee standpoint, I will answer my phone, or I will get on the call with you. I will respond to your text or your emails, and I will give you my time. But I also demand that if you're going to reach out to me to be a mentee, there has to be some type of trade-off, meaning you got to take my course. There's no cost to it. You got to go through the entire course and take the course. And then you got to put actionable steps, meaning action behind the things that we discussed that you say as an individual you want to do. And as long as you're willing to do those things, I'm willing to give you my time and my insight, based around my schedule and that individual schedule, something I do now. I still talk to a lot of different young agents who reach out to me about how to get a license. Once they get their license, what am I supposed to do? And I give them my course and I say, I'm here and I'm available to answer your questions. Just don't abuse it. Meaning, not about contacting me. That means contacting me and not doing anything.
Right. Okay.
Another quick question. What time do you get up in the morning?
Yeah, it varies, man. I'm one of those individuals, like it could be sometimes like 7 a.m., 8 a.m. I go through streaks. Like there was a phase where I would get up at 4:30 or 5 in the morning, because I had certain things that I was working on. So I'm one of those individuals. Really, I work best like at night, late, like when everybody's sleeping. I think it's really just about finding what works for you. A lot of people like, oh, you got to be up at 4 a.m. and 5 a.m. Like, That's not necessarily the case. You know, it's what works for you, and when you work best, just get your work done around those period of times where you can maximize when you're the most alert, most attentive, and most effective. But for me, it varies. Like I said, it depends on where I'm at in life and what I'm working on. Sometimes it's 7, it's 8, but usually by 8 I'm up. You know, and then sometimes I may have days where I sleep in to 9 or whatever, and then I'm up going through the rest of my day getting things done.
Yeah. I like the late night personally.
Yeah, I agree. You got to find what works for you.
Okay, what's the next question?
How do you build confidence when working with big names?
How do you build confidence in working with big names? Well, I think that starts with being confident in your ability. So it's kind of like, basketball, right? How do I become confident in being able to make that big shot? Well, I got to be in the gym weeks, days, months, taking those shots and imagining myself being in that situation, making the big shot. So when the opportunity comes, I'm not afraid. I'm not fearful to take that shot. I've seen it repetitiously over and over. So how do we translate that into the question? Well, when I'm prepared to know, when I know my market, when that big time person says, "Hey, Rod," just like the question asks, where's the best places to buy in LA? I just ran them off to you. Bam, 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 bam. I know them because I've studied them. I know the markets there. I go there. I go to the open houses. I go to the caravans. I look at the market reports. I understand where the money's flowing, where people are buying, what's not selling. That's how you build confidence, is being knowledgeable of your product that you're selling or the services that you're providing. Being competent, and when you're able to master that, then you can be confident regardless of who you're standing in front of. And listen, at the end of the day, to be standing in front of Michael, like I met Michael Jordan personally and got a chance to shake his hand. I'm always in awe of what he's done on the court, but at the end of the day, he's another human being. He doesn't know what I know in my field. He knows basketball. He's great at that, but that don't mean he's great at real estate. So he has to seek me out for that advice and that attention. So I'm being the Michael Jordan of real estate. So when he comes to me, I'm able to perform at the high level like he does and provide a high service and answer his questions and know what's going on in the marketplace in which I serve. That's how you have confidence, is being prepared and ready to answer those questions when they, whenever consumers reach out to you.
I hope that ain't go over your head. Get in the gym, whatever. Get in the gym. Whatever your field is, get in the gym. Don't Don't step out on the court like you've been in the gym.
Just be prepared, man. That's how you build confidence, is being prepared. Stay ready. You ain't got to get ready.
Okay.
If you plan to buy your home before 25, what are steps you should take to make it a smooth process?
By 2025, so that's 5 years from now?
No, by the age of 25.
By the age of 25.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you need to identify, your income. You need to have enough income to afford a home in your area that you're looking to purchase. So that means you need to make sure your credit is intact, unless you have the cash to pay for the properties that you want, properties you're looking to purchase. So make sure your credit's intact. Make sure you make enough money to afford the home. So I would say start with speaking to a mortgage professional so you can get a head start on if you're going to look to buy at 25 and you're 24 and a half, you got 6 months to get your ducks in a row. So make sure your credit's intact. Make sure you're earning enough income that's verifiable, because some people work on jobs and they're 1099 employees, even though they may, assume, well, I have a job. Well, if you're a 1099 employee, then what Uncle Sam's going to look at is, what are you taking home? What are you claiming on your taxes? So you need to make sure that you have your financial ducks in a row. So that way, when you apply for a loan, you know exactly what that lender is going to be looking for based upon the amount of the home you're buying and the qualification scenario. So you need to make sure you meet those qualifications. So it's just really getting your finances in order.
And let's get Mr. Simpson's question. And you have Mr. Simpson too to help y'all with y'all finances.
Definitely. Mr. Simpson said, how do you differentiate your real estate practice from other agents?
Yeah, good question. I think really it's about stepping back, regardless of where you sell real estate. I found that I've had more success working in a niche as opposed to trying to, go after everyone. The business leads you to believe like all of these people, I got to sell a house to everybody. And that's not how sales typically work. People are going to work with individuals they relate to, that they trust, or that has brand awareness, equity, meaning that they're known as known for being the best at what they do in that area. To be known to be the best at what you do takes years of experience to be able to prove that out. So for me, I focused on a niche market where I knew I could have success faster and more impactful. What I mean by more impactful, if I sell a home to just an everyday person, most people they don't care to begin with who I sell a home to. But on average, if I sell a home to an everyday person, most people are like, oh yeah, that's great. But if I sell a home to LeBron James, they're like, oh, you sold a home to LeBron James?
Mm-hmm.
You must really know what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
I know what I'm doing just as much as when I sold that home to just a regular person, then to LeBron James. The difference is who you're servicing. So what I've done to really stand out is really narrow down who I individuals of professional athletes that typically gain more attention than the average person does. And then I've leveraged my marketing approach, which allows me to stand out from the normal end, or I shouldn't say normal, from everyone else that's in the business trying to go after everyone. It's just like if you broke your finger or if you had a knee injury, you're going to go see a doctor that specializes in working on joint and bones, right? And not some regular physician that can't help you or can't work on that specific injury. And then you're going to seek out the best bone and joint doctor there is to perform that surgery if that's needed. Not some average guy that hasn't done that many surgeries or doesn't have a great reputation. So I've prided myself on building my reputation, on being the best at what I do in this space, that it is unarguable. And part of that is the body of work that I've done. That's what has allowed me to stand out. And I've been very intentional about when I entered this niche market that I wanted to be the best at what I do. And the way that you do that is you provide a high level of service that people cannot deny you, that they have to eventually come to you because that's what you're known for.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's cool. Do we have any, Rika pinned the information about the course in the comments. I think we got all the questions.
Somebody said, what about investing in Compton?
Yeah, Compton. I actually just met with a seller day before yesterday about selling their property in Compton. Compton is an area that's still, it has a negative impact from a bias standpoint because of its history of gang violence, and unfortunately, those very artists that were talking about the things that were going on in their neighborhood didn't realize that they were participating in devaluing the same community in which other Black people had owned homes historically for years, and those homes for over 2 decades have remained around the same price point, whereas all the other properties in LA County have doubled and tripled in value. So the bright side to that is that the future, there are developments and things that are taking place around LA, and because prices are so high in other areas on the west side, more people are looking at Compton as a viable source to purchase and either update homes, which increases value over time, not as much as you're going to see in other non-white communities. However, it is becoming attractive, or it is becoming more attractive to individuals because what people are seeing is that I can go buy in Compton under $600,000 or up to $600,000, a single family 3 or 4 bedroom home, and put a little sweat equity into it and ride out this period of time, and maybe in the next 5 or 10 years the price will double. So Compton is definitely an area to keep your eye on. However, it's a long-term play. It's not something you're in an area you're going to move in and in 3 years you're going to be sitting on, $100,000, $200,000 in equity like you could in the west side of LA. But it definitely is, especially for African Americans. I would highly suggest that African Americans invest in Compton and keep their money in those areas if they can, if all is possible, because at some point that area is going to explode, and I predict in the next 5 to 10 years.
Okay. What was the next question right there? How much money would I need to put down on a $600,000 house?
Well, FHA allows you to do 3.5%. So that'd be like 30, 35, 40, let's call it $40,000, which you need to come to the table with. 3.5% on 600,000 is about 40 grand, 42, 43, somewhere in that neighborhood. Just calculate 3.5% of the purchase price that you're buying. So if it's 600,000, 3.5% is what you'd have to put down plus your closing costs. Closing costs are going to run you about 3 to 6% of that loan. So with an FHA loan, you're probably going to be altogether needing to come to the table about $45,000, $46,000.
Okay.
How how important is it to work with / refer business to other Black professionals, Black lenders, stagers, photographers, etc.?
Yeah. How important is it to refer
Hold on one
business?
second. Let me get my charger. 1 second.
Okay.
I think it's very important to refer. I've built my business around being intentional about referring business to other Black agents or other Black vendors or service providers, whether that be photographers, whether that be lenders, stagers. I've been very intentional, and I think when we take that approach, it gives us the opportunity to grow and to see, for others to see more of us not only working together, but then that allows our money to double and triple as we begin to allow those dollars to circulate amongst ourselves versus referring out to other individuals who don't look like us, and that money's never going to circulate back through our community. So I think it's important. I've made it since I've been in business. Anybody that knows me can say that, yeah, Rod definitely I go out of my way, honestly, to try and refer opportunities to people that look like you and I. And even though sometimes I've had some experience where things didn't work out, that's never stopped me from, pursuing referring business to people that look like you and I. Just now have been more, I do my research, and I'm very like, you just have to be on your P's and Q's. You have to really be on top of your business. But I know who those individuals are. And if I don't, I ask other people that I respect, who do they know? And then I work that way. And then I work off of other referrals from individuals that I trust. But I think it's very important.
Okay. Do we still have more?
Yeah, it's a
That's fine. I mean, we got time. I'm here to answer the
How can
questions
you
that people have.
profit? Oh, my bad. She said, how can you profit from real estate without a license?
Just being an investor, if you're an investor and you got the ability to go out and whether you're using your money or other people's money, the fastest way to build, or should I say, the fastest way to actually start earning money is you can do wholesaling, which a lot of people are doing. I mean, I started wholesaling back in 2006. Now it's like this hot thing, but 2006 we were doing wholesaling, so it's been around. But wholesaling is a one way, and then our other way is investing in passive income assets like multifamily units, apartment complexes, and that's where you may use other people's money, and you go find the deals, and you structure the deals to where you can have an equitable interest in the deal yourself because you bring the deal to the table. And when you find deals that make sense and that produce money, people that typically have money are going to give you the money because you know what you're doing and you're making them money. So that would be, I would say, the one sure way you can make money in real estate aside from having a license and being on the sales side.
Okay. I like wholesaling.
Yeah.
But now everybody got a course on everything.
I know, right?
I mean, getting people to pay to learn how to wholesale.
You don't need to pay nobody to learn how to wholesale. Pick up a book and read. It's really simple. The same stuff that they're telling you in these seminars that they're knocking you over the head to charge you all this money, you can read in a book and learn yourself. And it's very, I taught myself reading out of a book. I didn't go to no classes and no seminars.
How is gentrification in LA and California? What should we look for to invest and build homes and communities that will increase over time?
Okay. So how is gentrification in LA and California? I mean, gentrification, let's just be real, it's happening all over the United States. It's not just LA, California. Anywhere there has been a large Black history, a large populations of Black people, and a history and a culture where our families have resided. Like example, where I grew up in Fifth Ward, prices have been suppressed in those areas for 2 to 3 decades, whereas prices in other areas have tripled and doubled. So just by that, automatically what that has done is created opportunity where people that have amassed wealth to look for opportunities to continue to grow their wealth. And it's only logical that you make money when you buy low and sell high. I don't give a damn what it is you're selling. Those of you that know the dope game, you get a brick for a certain dollar and you're trying to flip it for a higher amount. It's the same thing in real estate, stocks, and anything else that has an equitable value to sell. So people go to the Black communities because real estate's cheap. And, you go to most of these areas where values have been suppressed, They can buy a house. Example, here in Los Angeles, you go to South Central, you can buy a house for anywhere from 400 to 500,000. Put 60 to 80,000 or 100,000 in the house and turn around and sell the house for 750 or 800,000 and make 80 to 60 grand in profit, right? Now your profit margins isn't as high as maybe on the west side, but for most investors, that's still a profit. And if you do a number of those homes over the course of the year, you grow your money. So gentrification isn't necessarily a bad thing. Every neighborhood has trends, meaning every neighborhood goes through an up cycle and a down cycle. And in that up cycle and down cycle, different generations of people move in and move out. And so with that said, the way we can protect ourselves is when the question is asked, what do we look for and invest in the bill? Go around and talk to black owners that own properties and ask them if they're willing to sell. Let them know, I'm an investor. I'm looking to keep, more of our properties owned and controlled by us in this neighborhood. I'm working with a private group, and we're interested in paying all cash for properties. If you hear or know about anything, here's my number. Here's my card. Give me a call. Be a professional. Start there. Provide value to people and do right by people. Don't just go into a deal saying I'm trying to screw these people over. No, understand the market and pay a fair price for a house. I'm not saying pay more, but pay a fair price. And sometimes even if you have to pay more to get that property, that's okay, because if you can control it and keep it black owned, then if you're going to hold that to be an investment property that you're going to rent, eventually you're going to pass that property down to your heirs. Right. If you're going to turn around and sell that property for a profit, well, guess what? If you've got connections with more people in those neighborhoods, that you can go to those families and say, hey, we got these opportunities coming before they even hit the market. You can sell the houses. There are a lot of black people that know what's going on in those neighborhoods and know people that are ready to buy when the right opportunity presents itself. So it's all about networking and getting out and connecting, knocking on doors, picking up the phone and calling people and letting them know what your intentions are. We work with each other. We're not like white folks. When you call they want to cuss you out and talk to you crazy and shit. We don't move like that. And I can tell you that from my own experience. I've called thousands of black people's homes. I've never been cussed out by one black person. Now, I call a lot of white folks home. They cuss me out in a heartbeat, but that's okay. The reason why I bring that up is you shouldn't be afraid to reach out to your own and ask them, hey, are you guys planning to sell, or do you know anybody planning to sell in this neighborhood now in the near future? And if you do, we are a black-owned, operated investment firm looking to buy quality homes and properties in this community. If you happen to know anybody, or you yourself are thinking about selling, matter of fact, I see you own 6 properties. Are you looking for any equitable partners? Maybe perhaps we can fix these properties up and share in the profits when we sell them back to a black family. It's all about putting the game plan together and deciding that I'm going to go out and make these things happen. We can't be mad because other people are coming in our neighborhood and buying properties for less money. They're smart enough to figure out there's value here, so I'm going to invest my money here.
Right.
Racism, all it is a race to control profit and equity. You got to get that in your head. This whole thing is a game. Monopoly is real life and what we're living. So you either in it or you out of it, and you watching other people win. You can't cry and complain because somebody else is taking advantage of opportunities that are same opportunities that are available for you, that they put their mind and thoughts behind and figured out how to make it happen.
Right. Do you think that I know you mentioned something about when the rappers were talking about Compton, and I know like just culturally in our society, we kind of stand outside and we do a lot of things outside. Do you think that we are aware of how that affects the wealth of that community?
Not at all. Not at all. And I'll tell you why. When we were growing up, my grandparents and my great-grandparents, there was order, meaning that was just shit you couldn't do. You couldn't walk around with your pants hanging under your ass. You couldn't greet somebody talking about, it was yes, ma'am, no, sir. Not that I'm saying you got to do that, but a respectable, approach. But what ended up happening is that they broke down the pillars of our communities. 1, our elders died off. 2, the men in the households, a lot of them went to prison because they was trying to provide for their families. They thought the dope game was going to be the sure way. Everybody was getting money in the 80s and 90s. And they didn't think that shit was going to ever stop until the feds came in. Then the feds came in and broke up our communities by simply attacking us and forcing us to fight against each other. Then hip hop came along and became an instrument, a war tactic, an instrument used by the oppressor to intentionally devalue our communities and brainwash our younger generation into believing being a thug was the way to go. Being a violent ass criminal was the way to be respected, when all the reality is you had a bunch of young, immature, insecure, hurt young men that did not have leadership or individuals that were holding them accountable. So therefore, they didn't understand the environment in which they were living in, that they were destroying it by their very actions, by what they said, what they did, and the way that they carried themselves. And unfortunately, that's been the repercussions that we see now. We see decimated communities, war zones, right? And we don't understand that this is a war we're playing, that we're fighting against. These people are very strategic. We just haven't figured out the game yet. But once we do, we can regain control. And a lot of that just starts with education and actually caring. So to answer your question, yes, those actions by whether it be male or female, standing on the corners, drinking, busting guns, all of this stuff on blocks that you don't own. I can see if you owned it, but you don't even own them blocks. And you killing people that look like you. When, if you had even half a brain, that same money that you getting, you could be buying up the whole damn neighborhood in a strategic way or manner. Now, I know that there are some artists that are out there doing that, and kudos to them. They're starting to understand and learn how to flip the game. But until we collectively respect ourselves, until we collectively understand that this is real life monopoly and that the name of the game is ownership. It's not about wearing a fucking chain around your neck or driving a fancy ass car. It's literally how much property can you own in this community and control. And eventually set up for your kids to be able to one day amass and obtain. That's what I'm working for. You know, California real estate is a lot more expensive than Texas real estate. So it's taking me longer to acquire properties, but that's okay. I've owned property in Texas. I understand the game. I understand the process. I came to a bigger playing field because the profits, the stakes are bigger. And plus, what I'm doing is raising and setting the bar to where more of us that look like us get in on this game.
Man, I appreciate you. I appreciate you. I bought my house when I was 25, and I was fortunate to have family members who, I bought my house right out of college, out of grad school, and I was fortunate to have family members kind of remind me, because I wanted to buy a Range Rover. I wanted to flex when I got out of school. That was going to be my, I'm telling you.
Don't we all? That's they.
Yeah, they was like, the Range Rover going to depreciate as soon as you drive off the lot. And so I'm grateful because you have amassed some wealth.
Well, I would share this. Here's the one thing, you know, I work on the board. I'm on the board of the People's Alliance for Justice, and we have an initiative that we're focusing on, which is to increase Black home ownership in the United States of America. And one of the things that that's not really talked about when you talk about the state in which Black people are from a repair standpoint, restitution, is that we've been damaged by the trauma of slavery, the trauma of Jim Crow, the trauma of the crack era and mass incarceration. That's trauma that's still there and very present, and is being passed down to each young Black baby and boy that's being born in this country within these urban communities. I'm one of them that you're listening to and talking to, and I can talk like this because I've experienced. My dad was in prison when I was 9 years old, and I didn't see him again until I was 22. You know what that does to a child? You know how much that destroys a young Black male's confidence and psyche? Not many kids are strong enough to come from that, so they succumb to the materialistic things and the things that they see because we have a lack of being valued by the world. So therefore, how can we value ourselves? And every day I look at a TV or hear a radio, subconsciously the negative images that are being portrayed about who I am as a person is like being gum underneath the bottom of somebody's shoes. So therefore, my value then becomes wrapped around what I can tangibly access to show you that I'm worth something. So that's Jordans, that's a Range Rover, that's a $100,000 chain around my neck, that's a Rolex on my watch, because it provides some form of instant gratification of being valued. The reality is we are still broken people that have never been repaired, but we've been turned loose in this country and expected to pull our bootstraps and lace our put our boots on and lace our bootstraps up, and all of a sudden be these high-level productive citizens competing in this race out here that's going on when we haven't had the necessary repair. We haven't been given the necessary restitution to help us rebuild. So some of it's on us, all of it isn't. And I just want to pinpoint that because when we talk about each other, oh, we got to do better, we have to understand where we are as a people and the state of mind that we're in. We're traumatized out here. And we're just trying to make the best of what we have access to. But I will say this, the fastest way to healing is acknowledging that and then saying, yes, we can do better. And the best way to do better is to attack from an economic standpoint. Focus on really understanding where real wealth is, and understanding that that takes time to build, and not being caught up in this illusion that I got to prove to somebody that I'm worth something, when by your birthright in this land that you walk on, you are worthy from the time you take air into your lungs.
Mm-hmm.
So if we focus on repairing and rebuilding each other more and being patient with one another, we will see an substantial amount of growth over the next 2 decades. I have no doubt about that. And I'm here to charge and lead the way in that, in my actions and everything that I do.
Right. Well, we definitely appreciate you. We hope to join you on that journey. That's what Positive Role Models is all about. We, in essence, want to show how people how to lead by example, and we start with people in our community.
Well, you're doing it now.
And
you're doing it now.
So we're going to continue with our work. We provide, like we said, mental health services. I'm a licensed clinical social worker in Washington, D.C. So we have wellness groups where we hope to maybe come out, bring some kids out to LA to meet you. So,
Absolutely.
Things like that where we'll connect with Mr. Simpson. And so we hope to continue to join you in your mission. We thank you so much. I thank you as a mom for being a Black man and
very informative
and talking to Isaiah. Mr. Simpson, I thank you so much for introducing us. Hopefully we can meet you guys and, when the world open back up and bring some kids to meet y'all.
Yeah, well, we don't have to say hopefully anymore. We're going to make these things happen. We just got to speak them into an existence. Obviously, we're dealing with COVID, but here in the near future, we will connect at some point on a level of face-to-face, meeting one another. And, in any way I can be a resource. I don't know everything, but I am passionate about the pursuit and creating equitable opportunities for ourselves within this industry of real estate. So for those that have questions, or in any way I could be of value and of service to helping you guys in your endeavor to be a role model or to bridge gaps, I'm happy to do so. We can always put things on the calendar. That's more or less how I work. I'm here for you. And so let's just keep building.
Thank you. And thank you guys for joining us. We'll be back. My project manager, she's been in touch with you. She's great. So I don't know anything for y'all to drop right here, but we'll be back. Stay tuned for more. Thank you again, Mr. Watson.
Thank you.
No problem. You guys have a great day. Great evening.
You too.
All right.
Bye.